educating,
Oops, sorry.
and no, that's okay. So are we recording? Yeah,
Is it okay if I record the video as well?
yeah, yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah, of
so
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just do a quick introduction here, and we'll get going. All right, here we go. All right, everybody, we're here with Richard Ridings, prolific actor. He's been in a million, I mean, like hundreds of different things. Most notably, he plays Daddy Pig on the Peppa Pig. And also, for our purposes, he starred as Buck, the gorilla, in Rise of Planet of the Apes. Oh, there we go. He still got it. He still got it. Richard, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's it's great, great pleasure to talk about. Some very very happy memories.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So this week we've been talking about Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and we wanted to talk to you. How did you end up getting involved in that project?
Well, I'd already done a couple of performance capture games with Andy,
Okay.
which I think off the back of him doing Lord of the Rings and indeed Kong, um, he got contacted by a small games company in England who had got a commission from Sony to do this game called Heavenly Sword, which was going to, I think the plan at the time was it was going to launch the PlayStation 3. I think I'm not a gamer myself, so
that sounds about right.
Although I do voice a lot of games, but I have an addictive personality, so I thought I better not go there. I mean, I love story and I love all of that, but my life will disappear into into Cyberland if I do this. Games that I learned the acronym IRL, which we all use now, I think. But 20 years ago, I'd be doing like all these voiceovers for games, and the developers would keep saying, "Yeah, IRL will do." And I said, "Hold on, what is this IRL thing?" And said, "Oh, in real life, where we spend about a quarter of our time, So yeah, I'd already done Heavenly Sword. We all went out to New Zealand and did out there, and then there was another game called, oh crikey, what was it called? Enslaved, I think it was called, that we did in Santa Monica. And then I got the phone call from Andy saying, "Do you want to come to Vancouver and be a silverback gorilla in?" And I was like, "Let me think about this for a nanosecond." Yeah, of course. And it was quite complicated, actually. I didn't realize that I kept getting blocked because apparently I was still on board for Game of Thrones, because I'd done the pilot for Game of Thrones, and I couldn't understand why Andy got in touch and said, "Look, they're not, for some reason, then it's not going through this." And basically, I mean, I think I was one of the first people to die in the pilot of Game of Thrones. They had to refilm it,
Yeah.
because the snow looked so rubbish. And I think I might have. I said, "Well, forget that. I'm coming out to Vancouver for 10 weeks or 11 weeks. I'm coming to be." I mean, what a great honour to be asked by the guy who's just played King Kong to come and be a silverback. Yeah. And plus, which I have a thing for mountain gorillas anyway, as you can probably see from my email address. That's right. And I played the head of gorillas in a film, the John Cleese follow-up to Fish Called Wonder. Huge primates. Yes. So I've always had a kind of a deep affection, especially for mountain gorillas. And of course, Andy went out, as it subsequently learned, he'd actually been out to Rwanda and lived with them for a week in preparation for doing Kong. Oh, so wow. He was my major source.
Okay.
Dear old Karen Cannibal, who plays Morris, she was down. She had to keep going across the border to Seattle Zoo to go and spend a bit of time with her with her orangutan down there. And but Andy was my major source. He was like, "Oh no, let's go and have a chat about Rwanda and them, having a snooze after a big feed and farting and all that kind of stuff." And yeah, but sorry, I'm chuntering on here.
It's okay.
What for me was quite amazing was watching the advance in the technology. Because the very first game we did, I don't know, Heavenly Sword, was it 2007, 2005? You know, you'd go into the volume, which is what they call this area where you probably know this, where they do the performance capture. And yes, certainly you'd have sort of dots on various joints and things, but then in your face you'd have dots, and they'd try and capture your expressions. And in the first time we did it, it was like these little silver balls that had to be glued on. So you had a makeup artist that was, and because there's no lighting reset, it'd be like we'd be doing these quite energetic things, and then you just go straight again. And by the time I was doing this, I was like, you know, mid-40s, and started to say, God, you know what? I was, you know, you realise in the rhythm of filming, you kind of quite look forward to the camera resetting and a bit of relighting, you know, a bit of a sit down, and have a couple of sips on your tea, and then you're ready to go again. Not with performance capture. No. Straight back in there. Do it again, and again, and again, and again. And like, ooh. No problem for Andy, because he's super fit. I mean, this is a man who, what did he say? You know, his idea of a holiday is going to climb the Matterhorn solo. He's unbelievable. I love him to bits. So yeah, but going back to watching the advances in technology, in those days, it was like, yes, gluing these little things on your faces. The next time round, we could actually see, we couldn't do it when we were filming the scenes, but you could have tryout sessions with your character. And I was playing a character called Pigsy, who was like as wide as he was tall. And that was great, just getting this kind of swaggering kind of movement and seeing what that looked like. By the time we came on to do Apes, the computers have got that much faster as well. And you could actually really watch them and look at how the movement was translating, you know, onto these what at the time were quite basic puppets. Obviously, no rendering had been done on the textures or whatever. So all the training we were doing with the with lovely Terry Notary and all the chaps and chapesses who had worked as Cirque du Soleil, doing the primate stuff for so many years, and they were all on the film. You could start to see, you know, the movement coming together and making that work. The other thing that got me, and I've been trying to remember his name, but it's the guy who was very instrumental at getting motion capture working. He's a Serbian guy, wonderful guy, and he always did the faces. And this time we had a mask made, a plastic mask made, and they drill holes in it so they could just like spray little reflective paint on it. But he said, so we normally do about, I don't know, 128 dots for Buck, because I really wanted the lips to be very super expressive, and I've got quite a big face as well. He said, I think we did something like 328 dots. He said, I've never done one so detailed. And we did this 4-hour session where it was like, well, we'll just do one there, and then we put the mask on. And so, yeah, makeup in the morning just involved putting this mask on and getting your dots put on. And also we had, for the first time, we had head cams as well. So you're wearing a helmet with a head cam that is actually tracking your face as well. So that's the technology side of things. And I think also it was the first time they had tried to take a volume outside, and it was huge. I mean, my first day on the shoot was the helicopter, leaping at the helicopter and then dying afterwards. And it was like, well, you know, taking David Oyelowo down. And it was in a huge car park, and they'd got this. I'd never seen anything like it. It was just an enormous array of.
I was going to say, how much did you get to be involved in that whole helicopter sequence? I'm sure the stunt person was doing like the big jumps and everything, but I was curious how
No, I was going to come on to that actually, because quite involved actually, because although they overlaid the stunt guy, and also there was a wonderful guy, Simon, I can't remember his surname. He was a lovely fella who was doing a lot of the jumping and the running around. He was a Canadian Olympic gymnast.
Wow.
And I remember because he used to live on a farm just outside Vancouver, and he had to go through American customs to come back into Canada. And he was very involved with the ecological movements and looking after the whales. And it was like such a beautiful soul. And boy, yeah, he did a lot of the leaping around and scrabbling up things very quickly. And whereas I was more like up and down in the cage with the arms on, pissed off buck,
Yeah.
But yeah, the leaping at the helicopter. No, we had it was great because after the principal filming finished, we then went back to the kind of the wetter gymnasium and we did all these, just capturing various movements. But one of them was leaping at the helicopter. So yeah, we spent an afternoon with me leaping as well, and I'm sure
that's so cool.
And I'm sure then he did a load as well, and I'm sure they married the two. Yeah, because that's quite a leap. First hero of the revolution, as Andy used to say. But,
I love. I mean, Buck plays such a pivotal. He doesn't survive the film, but he plays such a pivotal role in Caesar's ability to kind of like rise up and start to lead these apes at the animal shelter. And I do love I think he gets some of the apart from Caesar, obviously gets some of the better like facial performances, the face that you're making in the moment when Caesar first speaks is like really great. I think Buck's reaction is like really moving.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there was a kind of bigger sequence that got cut, but it did, I think, if I remember rightly, when just after he's challenged Rocket, and then Buck comes on board, and it's like so kind of going, oh, we've got a new leader now. Ooh. And it's like, and we did this whole thing where he was almost like inspecting the troops. He was like going up and down, but no, that wasn't needed really. I think the point had been made. It was great storytelling. Or is it Rick Jaffa, isn't it? And Amanda Silver wrote the script. Great reboot, I think. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no. But
I was gonna ask, like, what was your process like before you filmed every time, like to kind of like get that energy up to become Buck? Like, what was your like?
Well, it kind of, I don't know. I mean, when I was out in Vancouver, I just spent most of the time being gorilla-like. To start with, I was allowed to take these specially made crutches. I think it was Terry had developed for Cirque du Soleil. They were kind of like medical crutches that you could then put on your arms to extend your arms, and with three little buttons on the end, to aid movement, and so getting the hang of the walk was great, and the gallop as well, because you can really move with those things at some considerable speed once you master it. Also, the surprising thing was, I found it great for my back because I got thrown off a horse doing a Luc Besson film years ago, and it's still kind of gives me a bit of trouble now and again. But being on all fours was wonderful. It was great. I loved it. It's a bit difficult to do the. You'd have the crutches on, and then you'd have to beat your chest, and that was quite. That was a bit tricky. Oh, I'm hitting myself in the head with these crutches. Sorry, was that? Sorry, did that answer the question? Was it? Yeah, I mean, I just did a lot of walking around like that, and then I suppose, and then also as soon as you put those performance capture suits on, you're kind of like, whoa, in it. I think we all found the head cams a bit of a challenge because they're quite heavy. But yeah, nice.
Throughout the process, did you find or feel that you had to exaggerate your facial expressions like more for it to be picked up by the motion capture, or is it so advanced at that point that you're just really reacting as you would normally?
Yeah, I think no, you're right. We did do kind of tests on that, and I was just like, because a lot of expression comes through, especially the top lip. And in fact, um, I had some teeth made for Buck, and at the end of the day, I decided not to wear them because they were really starting to impede with the ability to kind of just do quite sensitive things around this area,
Okay.
which I'd identified that as being a critical area, which is why I think we did so many dots when we did the facial map. So yeah, no, I think by the time we got to principal filming, I was kind of confident that it was going to read. I think so. In fact, I said the very first thing I filmed was me dying, and if I look at it, I think actually I was still bedding in then, and it was a bit, you know. And he almost speaks, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We did. I remember we did this ADR session where it was like, we kind of want to get you saying thank you, but and they said, then we'll shift it down an octave. And I said, well, okay. And then I did it, and they were like, well, actually, that's low enough anyway.
Wow.
So I think, but yeah, looking at the face, I'm kind of like, could have done maybe with another week of just prepping that a bit.
Right.
But
it's a tough thing to have to film first. Your death scene.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know how much experience you had going into this film with the prior Planet of the Apes films, because we've been watching all of them back from 1968.
Wow.
And the gorillas are the brutes. They're always betraying the chimp leaders. They're the muscle, and they're just there to like kill people and start wars usually. And they're portrayed as kind of not as intelligent, but that's not the case with Buck, I feel like, in this movie.
No.
So, had you seen any of those prior movies, and what was your kind of going into this? What did you think about
Well,
it?
Elizabeth, I'm not I'm not, full disclosure, I'm not as on top of all of that as I probably should
Oh
be. But
no, it's fine.
Okay.
It's totally different character.
In fact, it was suggested we didn't watch
Okay.
the
Oh, wow. All right.
them again. Although I remember from when I was a child watching a lot of the certainly the TV series. But yeah, I mean, obviously I've watched the parts 2 and 3 as well of this reboot,
Okay.
and the various betrayals and things that are going on. But no, I think the psychology just becomes a lot more complex, doesn't it? It was all a bit broad brushstrokes that they're the baddies, and we now know so much more about gorillas, especially mountain gorillas, who are very, very peaceable, really, and until threatened, and that's normally just to try and protect their family, the silverbacks. So yeah, we'll keep those young adolescents in their place.
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
like
obviously watched a lot of footage of silverbacks at work, but yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's kind of beautiful that like the first like lengthy sequence we get with Buck is when he finally gets to come out of the cage.
Oh yeah.
And instead of being angry, he just is like, you're just running around,
yeah,
playful,
just,
like
yeah. I mean, hands up. Most of that was Simon. I mean, I did a version of it. It was like,
yeah,
hey guys,
you didn't climb up the tree.
I'm a 50-year-old smoker, and I don't think I'm going fast enough for long enough here.
So when you watch the movie back, or when you did finally see it, and you see Buck on screen, or even the other apes, do you see yourself? You're like, wow, that's me, like on the screen, and like that's Andy, that's whomever else, or is it like,
yeah, at times, it's been like Terry as well. Terry's
yeah,
and yeah, and yes, absolutely, yeah, at times, but then at times you get lost in the story, and it's great, and the way it should be. It's lovely, But yeah, that death sequence of Buck, you can kind of definitely see my face in there going, all right, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for freeing me. Yeah. Oh, we've had such. It's been short, but it's been great.
There's another pretty in the bridge sequence. There's another pretty emotional thing when Buck is about to just smash one of the highway patrol guys, and Caesar like stops him. That would get. Is there anything about that scene that you remember?
No, not too much. We filmed that quite quickly. Actually, it was yeah. Is he pull him off the horse? I can't remember. Oh, I think, yeah. Well, certainly we did a version where he pulled him off the horse.
Right. Yeah.
I'd need to go back. I mean, it's a few years since I've watched it, if I'm honest. I know my family got very upset with it. Was it the second one? Was all the torture? Or was it maybe the third one? There was a second one, I think, where they were holed up in the camp. Do you know what I was trying to do as well? I was trying to get in touch with Karen. I'm friends with Karen on Facebook, and we haven't spoken in years. But I thought I'm sure you'd like that. But she hasn't. I don't know what maybe she might be off filming somewhere. She's doing a lot of filming. Oh yeah. You know, Karen who plays Maurice. Yeah.
That would be great.
Because we were kind of big buddies on that film, because we were both like, you know, we're surrounded by Cirque du Soleil athletes who are eating these little pots of tuna, and we're going, okay, do you think we're allowed to sort of nip out the back and have a fag? Have a cigarette? And I said, well, actually, I've tried. I've given up, and I'd come out and stand with her and smell the smoke. And it's great, really good. Am I giving you enough info here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if there's lastly, if there's any other like favorite moments that you remember from shooting that you want to share. Otherwise, I think it's been great.
I love the stomping up and down in the cage, and then when Andrew Leslie came in, said, we're coming inside the cage, and I was like, oh, okay then, all right. Coming into my world. Yeah. Yes. Just the prep, and I think we had so much. It was such a great team spirit, and working within the Weta gymnasium, and then bringing that onto the set as well. And Rupert as well was so lovely, so lovely. But it's just such a technical thing as well, because you'd film it and then they have to do reference points with various other silver balls and grey balls and locked off cameras, and it's very technical. The only other thing I've done in my career that is that technical was Roger Rabbit years ago, when we were working with teams of puppeteers beneath us and above us, and we had to rehearse at different speeds because they were going to overcrank the camera, and also I think overlight it as well. It's very technical stuff, and then just trying to hang on to right, okay. But at the end of the day, you're a character, and you're doing what the character does in the story. So, but being aware of the technical stuff as well, and not, the old cliche, hit your mark and say your lines. It's that times 10 with all this digital stuff going on. It's don't forget there's various cameras doing various things around. Okay. I'll try and get it right and just make it seem as natural as possible.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Richard, I just want to say thank you for coming here to talk to us today. It's been amazing talking to you. And
thanks for having me.
Congratulations on 20 years of Peppa Pig.
Yeah, no, it's still popular. Apparently, it's gone big in China now.
Oh wow.
I think one of my wife's cousins married to a Chinese lady, and her sisters in China say, yes, we use it definitely to learn English.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's got to be incredible to be a part of such a institution of children's television.
It is. It's lovely, and also because it's so loved as well. And as I was saying, Justin, I don't know how old your daughter is, but if you do go down that route and she finds it magical, just get back in touch, and I'll gladly do a personalized message. it's actually the hidden joy of doing the show. It's all these little messages I get to do for people, because you know that it's so magical in their world at that age, and it's funny actually. Somebody was asking me to do we were having a Zoom chat the other day, and she said, "Oh, can I record?" And I said, "Well, you kind of can, but I don't particularly. I don't like my face being used for when you're talking about Daddy Pig, because I want the children to see Daddy Pig,
Right.
Not a 63 or whatever it is year old balding bloke.
That's not Daddy Pig. Yeah.
Pig. He looks more like a granddad, that guy. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, is there anything that you have coming out? Coming up here that people can check out your work, or is there any special?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know they re-showed a thing I was in where I play Mr. Bumble in a Dickensian series, but I'm not sure if that was on in America, called Dickensian, which was a sort of a retake, a reimagining of a lot of Dickens stuff. That was a lot of fun. And there's a series called Fat Friends I did 20 years ago. I know that's big on British Netflix. I don't know whether it's international though, because I know different regions show different things, don't they? As I'm discovering doing the research for all the sync licensing, crikey, it's like that show's only available in Canada. That show's only and I'm like, what have I got to subscribe to watch this? It's exploded. The whole world of TV and streaming has exploded, isn't it? It's a full-time job.
Oh man, well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it, and
my pleasure.
Everyone can check out Richard's work in Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
and hundreds of other things.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And you, Elizabeth. Good luck with the show.